What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to tonight's transfer news roundup. As you can see on the screen, as I'm recording this, there is 3 days, 28 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in this transfer window. And yet we are still no closer to hearing about a centre-back signing or no closer to understanding who, if any, that midfield reinforcement could be. So I'm going to ask you guys, as always, to let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Drop a like in the video and of course hit that subscribe button. But I can't lie, right now I'm feeling a little bit helpless. I tried to make an analogy to the chat earlier on tonight, and the best I can come up with is, you know, if you've got a younger brother or sister, or if you're a parent and you've got a sick child and you feel helpless because you can't make it better, but you need somebody else to step in, i.e. a doctor in that scenario, and help your child. That's how I feel at the minute as a Liverpool fan. I'm looking around and I'm seeing the team being close, almost there, a couple of signings away. The Newcastle game is both a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because, of course, it showed us a lot of positive attributes in that squad. Fighting mentality, willingness to fight right to the end. But it also potentially papers over the cracks a little bit for the owners, who may feel like they can continue to keep blagging it like they are because Klopp can work these miracles and this group of players will, pull these occasional miracles out. But that shouldn't be the norm. That shouldn't be what we're expecting. We should expect better. Right now, there's a lot of revisionism going on. People talking about the links to the likes of Wilfred Ndidi and trying to say that it's good enough. It isn't. It's nowhere near good enough. Wilfred Ndidi is a decent footballer, but he's also potentially an injury-prone footballer who we had no interest in and wasn't on anybody's list when this window started. But now, as we approach the end of the window, and Leicester are willing to sell because they're a little bit desperate because they've been relegated and they want to free up some money off the wage bill, now all of a sudden it becomes semi-acceptable to certain fans. It shouldn't be. That's why we don't leave our business to this late in the window. That's why you and I and many others have been screaming about the fact that the later this goes, the worse the situation becomes. Because a couple of things happen. Either you end up massively overpaying, what best case scenario is, you end up massively overpaying for somebody who you really want, somebody who you've wanted all along. Worst case scenario is you end up bargain basement shopping again, bringing in an Ozan Kabak, a Ben Davies or an Arthur Mello. And we don't seem to have learned those lessons. And that's unforgivable. And you will all have your own thought processes about who is to blame. Some people will blame George Schmadtke, some people will blame Jurgen Klopp, some people will blame the owners, and some people blame a combination of all of them. But it still doesn't solve the problem. And the way these owners have gone through window after window has been distractions, and then we're of the mindset that we're grateful. Let's example, this window, right at the end of it, we're being linked with losing Mohamed Salah and Joe Gomez. So Al Ittihad and I think West Ham are in for Gomez, and we've heard stuff about Al Ittihad being in for Mohamed Salah. Now, that's one way to look at it, but the owners will look at it as in, well, they've said no. They've turned down these offers. We should be grateful. But it's a distraction. It's distracting from the real problem, which is we need a midfielder and a centre-back. And however I spin it, or the media spins it, Jurgen Klopp has said in no uncertain terms, from the start of this transfer window right to the end, he needs a defender, and he hasn't got one. Now rewind your minds back to the start of the transfer window. Evan Ndika was available for free. He ended up at Roma. Why on earth were we not in that conversation? Because I tell you what, he's better than some of the links that I've seen recently, if any. So that baffles me. Now we're being linked to Douglas Luiz, who we could have had last January. But what we've allowed to happen is him to sign a new deal at Villa, and if we do go back in, we'll end up overpaying. And that's before we move on to Mr. Gravenberch, who many amongst us thought would be the cheap replacement at the end of the window. Now, you can make an argument that he's the one Klopp wanted and that Klopp might turn him into a superstar. But I can equally make the argument that he might fail. And we don't give ourselves the best opportunity for success. We look to be too clever. Sometimes you just got to pay. Like with Verge, like with Alisson. Only difference this time is we haven't really cleared a huge lot of transfer fees this summer, have we? But what we have done is free up a lot of money in wages. And we were told as fans that that was going to be part of the reason that Liverpool were going to be able to go and spend in this window. And that's before we lost Fabinho and Henderson. I think between them a combined £380,000 a week. So the wage bill has decreased in our estimations by about £850 to £1 million a week. And we've added about 280 from what we believe Endo, McAllister and Szoboszlai are on. So even in a rebuild, our cheapskate owners are saving money rather than investing it. It's pathetic on every level. And I don't know what happens between now and 11 p.m. on Friday. We probably will get a player in, but I'll never be convinced that that was the plan all along. I'll never be convinced that that was the right player, just that he was the available player. That's a big problem. How can you entrust people to be ahead of a recruitment team, to have a year to prepare, and even the sporting director was brought in on a 3-month deal as a bit of a patchwork? There is no leadership here. There is nobody really interested in Liverpool's success. Klopp is operating with a hand tied behind his back and doesn't want to speak out against the owners for whatever reason. Again, you can believe he supports them or he's frustrated. It doesn't matter. We are still where we are. Right now, our owners are absolutely distracted. They have got a big building project going on in Boston. They're looking to buy another club. And every single one of these projects takes away time and effort and man hours from making our football club the best it can be. That's inexcusable. You deserve better. We deserve better. And don't be afraid to call it out. So whatever happens between now and the window closing on Friday, it's been a failure in this transfer window. It's been another nearly window. But it's also been a window where once again, these owners have shafted you, me, the manager and the squad. They have got away without putting their hand in their pocket yet again. A 40 or 50 million net spend in a rebuild window when you've saved on top of that probably another 500 grand a week in wages. If you put that over the course of a 4 or 5 year contract, amortised on a balance sheet for a player, leaves you in no doubt that we have the ability to spend more money. It's a willful choice not to. That's a dereliction of duty as owners, and it's not acceptable. So, time to start acting, because best case scenario, we get through the season with no injuries and we have a decent season. But more likely, we see the squad being shown up for the threadbare nature that it is. Lacking in depth in midfield, lacking in depth in defence, and 1 or 2 injuries away from a crisis. And we deserve better than that. You deserve better than that. But we're not getting better than that. And that's what hurts.